Let's meet the challenges that the American people sent all of us, not just the Republicans, not just the Democrats. We can meet those challenges, but let's start by electing Kevin McCarthy as our next speaker.
I think Kevin McCarthy is the right guy to lead us. I really do, or I wouldn't be standing up here giving this speech.
Republican supporters of Kevin McCarthy unable to get the embattled GOP leader across the finish line on Tuesday. 3 separate votes for House Speaker, ending with no one at the helm as McCarthy fails to net the necessary 218 votes. Next hour, I'll be speaking to Pennsylvania Congressman Scott Perry about this. He is one of 20 lawmakers backing Jim Jordan instead, who in that soundbite was saying we should elect Kevin McCarthy. Here is what Perry said about negotiating with McCarthy. Watch this.
You're the guy that wants to be speaker. Tell us, if you want to earn our vote, how we're going to transform this place so that there's a different outcome for the American people. Tell us how you're going to do that. Yet nothing.
Joining me now is CPAC Senior Fellow Mercedes Schlapp. Mercedes, it's always great to see you. Your reaction to where we are in this race to the speakership at the moment.
Well, great to see you too, Jackie. And I got to tell you, what a mess that we saw yesterday on the House floor. I think for Republicans, there is so much tension right now between what you would consider a lot of these very conservative members and, not only the establishment Republicans, because there are plenty of conservatives who are supporting Kevin McCarthy. The problem is that the expectation was that he was going to lose about 5 to 6 members. That number grew to 20 members, including Representative Byron Donalds from Florida, who first had supported McCarthy and then shift to Jim Jordan. And I got to tell you, Jim Jordan, while he's gaining momentum to become speaker, it's tough because he would have to win over moderate votes. He would have to also, he would be a reluctant speaker. He would be in a position where he would prefer to be chairman of the Judiciary Committee. It's something that he has been planning for quite some time and would be very successful in that role as well. So what's going to happen? Does Steve Scalise become the default speaker? That is a possibility. I got to tell you, as of this morning, it could go in any direction, Jackie.
And there are times that we've seen a speaker elected that didn't necessarily want to be the speaker. But having said that, both the gentlemen in the sound bites there that seem to be, candidates that the 20 would be interested in, they don't really want the job.
That's right. Well, this happened the last time when Kevin McCarthy was up for speaker, and obviously then we saw Paul Ryan become Speaker of the House. This seems to be the case. Now, look, Kevin McCarthy is a good politician. He worked a lot to get many of these House members elected, but I think that there was a disappointment when it came to the midterm elections. It wasn't the big red wave as so many of us anticipated. With that being said, he's been working very hard to try to become Speaker. He tried to work out a deal with the Freedom Caucus, but it just did not come to fruition. I think it came a little too late, and in essence, then he just lost more and more support. So it's a real struggle for Kevin McCarthy at this point. And again, it's just we're hoping that everyone had a good night's sleep, that there's a lot of conversations happening. But at the end of the day, the key is you can't let the Democrat, Representative Jeffries, become the Speaker of the House. So the Republicans will need to find a way that they can agree and elect a speaker that they can all, moderates and conservatives, agree with.
Right. So, not being able to come together today leaves a hole open, as you mentioned. At the same time, this fight over the speakership delays any potential GOP investigations into the border crisis. Fox News' Peter Doocy questioned White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre about that crisis yesterday. Mercedes, let's listen to this.
Does anybody around here think that the southern border is secure?
What I can tell you is this is a president has been working since day one to work on border security, to make an immigration a priority. As the president is coming forward and trying to come up with solutions, the difference here is that you have Republicans, as you know, who are doing political stunts.
Mercedes, your thoughts?
Look, I think that the Biden administration has failed when it comes to border security. Obviously, we are seeing day in and day out thousands of illegal immigrants crossing the border. Obviously, this is being facilitated by the drug cartels, by human traffickers as well, that are putting many of these vulnerable families, including children, in danger. And the reality is the Biden administration has created chaos at the border. It is not the Republicans' fault. The Republicans have tried time and time again to work with the Democrats to get the federal support they need to control the border. That is not happening. That you see in the cases of these governors, like Governor Greg Abbott, has not gotten the support from the federal government. You have the border agents that are overwhelmed. They're demoralized because of the lack of support coming from the Biden administration. So I got to tell you, this uncertainty that has been created around Title 42 and what's eventually going to happen with that, and the mere fact that the Biden administration hasn't spoken about building out a tough policy and working with Republicans, I think shows the failure of this administration. And you're going to see Republicans, once they get an order in the House of Representatives, stand strong and look into what is happening with the Department of Homeland Security and the lack of leadership coming from that department.
Mercedes, while I have you, just want to switch gears. Latest batch of Twitter files out. The revelation there is that Hillary Clinton's false claims of Russian collusion led the social media company to be under the thumb of intelligence agencies for allegedly allowing Russian propaganda on Twitter's site. However, Twitter's Russian task force could only find 17 accounts that were connected with Russia. One of them was state-owned news network, Russia Today, it was called. Mercedes, your thoughts on this latest dump of files?
Look, I got to tell you something. Everything that's been coming out with these Twitter files, I think, show the fact that you've seen a company just under complete stress. They said one thing when it came to their external policy, saying that they're not going to censor, that they're going to use their discretion, and then internal guidance is completely different when it came to dealing with the intelligence community. And the more and more you start seeing this web, this connection between the intel community, the FBI, and the big tech company and Twitter, and it really is troubling, and it's going to need we need some answers. And I think, again, you're going to see House Republicans investigating, looking into what big tech has done, how they were able to censor this Hunter laptop story for so long, how they've censored conservatives, which is obviously very concerning to many of us, and how they were basically colluding with the intel community, whether they liked it or not. Again, I think this is going to raise a lot of questions, and it's going to put the Twitter founder, Jack Dorsey, in a big problem here.
Mercedes Schlapp, thank you so much. Great to see you as always, and Happy New Year to you.